Chapter 23. The instant the last word of her prayer left Talon's lips, Rogan's lance wavered. He staggered back and crumpled to the ground. For a moment Talon was sure Rogan had been struck dead where he stood. After a moment, however, she saw his lips quiver with an exhaled breath. He was alive after all, and snoring too. A loud clang resounded through the cave as Smil strained against her chains and broke them. The guards looked from the dragon to their fallen leader. "We must destroy the beast!" shouted the knight who had brought the dragon lance. He drew his sword and advanced towards Smil. "Enough!" shouted Talon. "I am leader of the heirs of Huma. Rogan doesn't give any orders. Listen to me!" All attention turned to Talon. While she had often spoken to larger crowds, she feared this one more than any she had ever faced. What if she couldn't convince them? Smil caught Talon's eye and nodded briefly. "I have to convince them," Talon thought. "I am responsible for this. I must not let it go any further. My friends, I no longer believe the heirs of Huma represents a worthy cause," Talon said, her voice ringing thin but clear across the cave. "I spent time in the company of a bronze dragon who, by her own account, hated humans as much as I hated dragons." The heirs of Huma muttered to themselves. Talon hurried on. "As I spent time with this dragon, I came to discover many things about dragons, and about myself." Talon caught Smil's eye and smiled a lightning-quick smile. "I had a favorite story that I told when recruiting people to the heirs of Huma," Talon said. "I would like to share it with you now. When Paladine first created the dragons, he made them from metal. They were his beloved children. However, Tahesis told these dragons and corrupted them. Paladine was so saddened by this loss that he took more precious metals and had Riox forge the dragons again, the good dragons we know today. Once I told that story to show that if dragons turned evil once, they were likely to do so again." The people began muttering again. Talon held up one hand to silence them. She wondered if anyone else noticed how her hand was shaking. "I finally know what that story truly means. Paladine grieved for his lost children, but was willing to start anew. He didn't believe that because he lost them before that he shouldn't try again. We all should take that attitude to heart, not just about dragons, but about all creatures. That dragon," Talon pointed to Smil's slumbering father, "refused to fight humans that he considered allies, even when the humans considered him an enemy. And that dragon," Talon pointed to Smil, "refused to fight because she knew that it would hurt other humans. She knew that any injuries she took would hurt me. A dragon who can't feel pain could be an unstoppable force, but this dragon wouldn't allow even one human to be hurt so she could escape." Smil looked at the ground and pawed at some of the rocks as though embarrassed. Talon saw uncertainty in some eyes and dawning understanding in others. "I can't in good conscience continue with the heirs of Huma. I ask that all of you abandon it as well. There are far greater problems in this world than worrying about potential dangers." Talon fell silent. She could think of no more to say. Either the heirs of Huma would believe her and leave Smil and her family in peace, or they would continue their mission. One by one, every person lowered his or her weapon, and with a final uncertain glance at the three dragons, walked out of the cave. Rama glared at the knights who had held her and Elred, and they hurried from the cavern. Once Talon was sure that none of them were going to attack, Talon ran to Smil. "The spell broke!" they both said at the same time. Smil gasped in surprise and joy, and more lightning escaped her mouth and struck the cave ceiling, bringing more rocks down. "Stop that!" Elred said as he walked over to him. "We finally get out of this mess, and you want to bring the cave down around us." "This cave has stood for hundreds of years," Smil said. "When my parents—" Smil stopped short. "Mother!" Smil ran to her mother in a blur of bronze. She listened to her mother's chest and shook her head. "She's breathing, but I don't know if she will be all right. It looks like some of the injuries she had before are still there." Smil turned to her father, took his neck in her claws, and began shaking him. "Wake up!" As Smil tried to wake her father, Talon went to the large female bronze. It was like seeing a larger version of Smil, but with bigger neck frills. After spending so much time around Smil, Talon thought she had become used to dragons, but here, so close to two fully grown ones, she remembered why she feared them so. Looking at the bronze, she could once more see the copper dragon flying overhead. Her last words to Brig echoed in her ears. "Brig, look, there's—" Talon never got a chance to finish that sentence. Stricken with fear, it was all she could do to obey Brig's last word to her. "Run." Talon remembered hearing about the evil sorceress Asmaria, and how she possessed the copper dragon. Talon had never fully understood how any being could be under the control of someone else, but now she knew. It was just like Samil and her. Talon couldn't prevent her own pain. Samil determined whether she felt pain or not, and Talon's actions affected what Samil felt. As Maria controlled that copper dragon's body, its spirit had gone already. As Maria could have possessed a bear or a goblin and killed Brig as easily. It was the person inside the dragon, not the dragon itself. Talon, Samil whimpered, breaking into Talon's thoughts. "Can you help her?" Talon looked up at Samil's mother. The creature was huge and terrible and powerful. Had she landed in Talon's village, she could have stepped right through the roof of Talon's house, and the topmost part of the roof of thatch would not graze her belly. The light in the cave was dim, but the bronze scales still sparkled like purest water. She was the most beautiful sight Talon had ever seen. Talon raised her hands as high as she could reach and touched the bronze scales. They felt cool at first, then warmed from both Talon's hands and the blood pulsing beneath. "Mishkael, if this dragon's destiny be not fulfilled, please allow your healing to work through me. Let her be healed." For what seemed to be an eternity, nothing happened. Talon's heart froze. Had Mishkael answered her prayers about helping them escape, only to deny her the power to heal Samil's mother? Then blue light began to pour from Talon's fingers. It spread up and over Samil's mother like fog over the sea. "Is it working?" Samil whispered. As if in answer, Samil's mother stretched, nearly knocking Talon over with one outstretched leg. Her mouth opened and a loud yawn escaped, along with a bolt of lightning that landed on Samil's father's back. He jolted awake. What's happening?" he asked, rising up and shaking his head vigorously. "What happened to all the humans?" Talon smiled. He sounded exactly like her own father when he first woke. She kept her eyes on Samil's mother. The dragon was moving and stretching more, but her eyes were still closed. Samil took a step closer. "Mother?" Samil asked in a low, quivering voice that Talon had never heard from her. Samil's mother's eyelids slowly opened, revealing pupils so wide the eyes appeared to be entirely green. After a moment her pupils shrank, becoming green dots set in bronze. "Where's my daughter?" she said in a low, husky voice. "Samil?" "I'm here, Mother." Samil firmly but gently pushed Talon aside to get closer to her mother. The dragon slowly smiled. "I was so worried I lost you." Her eyes clouded with acidic tears. "Like my other children." "I'm here," Samil repeated. She glanced back to Talon and lowered her head. "I was lost for a long time, before I left. I know better now." "Do you?" Samil's mother's eyes focused on a star jewel hanging around Samil's neck. "So you still have it," she murmured. "Good." "What is this, Mother?" Samil asked, ignoring her father's sleepy protests for her to stop and let her mother rest. "The human who healed you, Talon, has the other half. Where did you get mine?" "Humans," the dragon said, peering closer to Talon's jewel. "I met them at the monument to the Silver Dragon Huma's tomb. There were humans under attack by a black dragon there. I saved them. One of them gave me this." "I knew that much. Why did you give it to me, though?" Samil said. "Do you know what that gem has put me through? What it put Talon through?" Samil's mother did not answer, but said, "When I woke and I saw you standing there, I knew the lady was right." "What lady?" Samil asked. "The one who gave you the pendant?" "No, not hers," Samil's mother said. "After the attack, the humans tried to help me, but I drifted into unconsciousness. I dreamed the lady came to me and told me that the jewel would open my daughter's eyes, and to give it to her the moment I saw her. I started home once I awoke, but I met more evil dragons on the way. I couldn't let them harm the humans, so I fought until I could fight no more. Your father found me and brought me home to you. I remembered little else until the lady returned to me in my dreams." "She came back?" Talon asked. "Who was she?" "She was dressed in blue like you, my dear," Samil's mother said. "She healed me as I dreamed. She said her name was Mishkael." That'd be the end of chapter 3.